All right. So next up we have Tilanka. Yes, hopefully I get that. Oh no, that's a dare I'm not going to take, man. I see your last name. No way. But yeah, no, I'll just shoot for the first one from Oklahoma State University, who's going to be sharing with us designing with digital media and in AR and design education. So.
Hi, good morning. So most people remember me as Tilanka from Sri Lanka, so that's good enough for me. So just to give you a small introduction about myself, I've worked as an architect in Sri Lanka, and I've taught architecture in Sri Lanka at the University of Mortua, and I've taught at the University of Missouri, Columbia, and currently I'm an assistant professor at Oklahoma State. I'm teaching interior design there. So today I'm a little bit different from, my presentation is going to be a little bit different from the rest of the stuff that you saw today, because I'm going to talk a little bit about how AR can be used in design education and why it should be probably used in design education. The theme is designing with digital media and AR in design education. Anyone know who this figure is? Nope. This is the Hindu patron god of architecture. The name is Lord Vishwakarma. And I've selected this image because if you take a look at these tools here, you see a palette of tools, and it starts from some basic tools like hammers, saws, and tape measures, and it goes on to power tools as well. It's pretty interesting to see these power tools in the image of a Hindu patron god, right? So, and I think there are some tools that need to be added here, because we are using augmented reality and virtual reality. Maybe pop in a Oculus Rift somewhere here later on. So what I'm trying to say is the tool palette of architects and designers are evolving, and our industries should evolve as well, and our education system should evolve as well. As a designer, a researcher, and a teacher, I try to work within the virtuality reality continuum, which was coined by Milgram and Kishinev back in '94. They talk about the real environment, and they talk about a virtual environment, and in the middle you have augmented reality and virtual reality. So as a designer, researcher, and a teacher, I try to work within this continuum. So a bit of a backstory. Why should we use these technologies? Of course, they are cool, right? But just because they're cool, I mean, it doesn't mean that we should use it. Virtual reality has come a long way since these ridiculous-looking virtual reality goggles, and we have cool stuff like Oculus Rift now. So we can use these in our classrooms, right? And we have augmented reality, which is basically defined as a mode of virtual reality, but where overlaying virtual objects in the physical world. And we've seen augmented reality from everything from IKEA catalogs to urban design and to franchising the Mona Lisa, right? We have to, there was a presentation last time which talked about augmented reality and this gimmickry of augmented reality. I can't remember who did the presentation, but it was pretty interesting to see that. And I don't know if you know about this cycle. It's called the Gartner's Hype Cycle, and my presentation is kind of cut short. There's some lettering somewhere on here. It doesn't come up here, but this is the Gartner's Hype Cycle. There are a lot of criticisms about this cycle, but I consider it a really okay. I consider it a really cool tool to see where technology is going. And as technology moves forward, you can see there's a technology trigger, and there's a peak of inflated expectations and a trough of disillusionment, and which leads to the productivity of the tool. If you take the hype cycle for 2013, augmented reality is somewhere on here. So the innovation trigger has gone through the hype of expectations and is going through the trough of disillusionment at the moment. That's what that cycle provides. And research would allow us to take it to this peak of the productiveness of the tool. To understand productivity, we need to understand the tool. I've gone too much. I've taken too much time, so I'm going to go real fast. You know about, bungee jumping looks really cool, right? But does that mean that we should go and do bungee jump? So similarly, digital tools look really cool, but should we use digital tools just because it's cool? For this, we look at the, to understand the tools more, we look at the characteristic of the interaction of the tool, characteristics of the interface, characteristics of the experience of the tool. I've taken this image from the MIT Labs website, and I'm sorry, MetaPro's website. I talk about augmented reality in terms of tangible user interfaces, where you talk about epistemic action, cognitive load, which reduces fixation in the design process. I'm not going to go through all this, but you've all played Tetris, and epistemic action is defined through Tetris, because when you press the button, you can reduce your cognitive load by pressing the button rather than trying to figure out how the pieces fit in the puzzle, which reduces the cognitive load. I'm just going to go browse through this. We also look at characteristics of the interface, such as interface transparency, embodied interaction, and then we talk about user experiences. I'm going to go really fast and show some examples of what we've already done with students. So we start by teaching students simple design programs like 3D Max, SketchUp, for them to try to understand how to model 3D space in 3D space. And then we promote them into the next level, teach them about grasshopper, rhinoceros, parametric design, and so on. Then we go ahead and teach them to use tools such as Unity 3D and simple tools like Build AR for them to kind of understand how AR works and so on. And this allows them to use these design tools to break away from the box model and experiment with form. And we've also used different ways of looking at design, like using virtual critiques to get inputs from other designers from across the country. We've used augmented reality models in the design studio for them to use augmented reality models rather than physical models in design studios. This allowed them to break away again from that boxed up sense and experiment with different forms as well. And we've used augmented reality for exhibitions to exhibit their models for certain design exercises as well. And we've used here, you can see example of using Juneo, which we've used. I also teach facility management at Oklahoma State, and this was a student project that they did. It's not something that's mind-blowing, but for them to understand the concept of augmented reality and how to use it in facility management and design, that was the objective of that exercise. So students, this is a student project where they use Juneo and Metao Creator to overlay an inside of a lighting automation system for operation to show its impact on operations and maintenance in facility management. Also, we went further and we tried using augmented reality with K1 to 6 kids to show them how to use SketchUp. And they really loved using augmented reality. They modeled their SketchUp model and then they saw that model on their hand. So it was a really cool experience for them. And these kind of things motivate the students, motivate kids to get into 3D modeling and design, hopefully. So as a designer, I try to use different tools to see how it works in design. These are experiments that I'm conducting, and unfortunately my students are the guinea pigs at the moment. So hopefully things work out and these tools become something that we can use in design education. So that's my presentation. Thanks a lot. If you have any questions, I'm open to any questions that you may have.
Yeah, so while the next, thank you, Tilanka from Sri Lanka. Did make that easy. And so while the next presenter is setting up, do we have any questions? Okay, then I will ask a question. Are you teaching your students digital fabrication any?
Not at the moment, but next semester, yes.
Okay, cool. All right. Okay, so yeah, digital fabrication. Thank you. Good call. So right now, most people are familiar with digital fabrication as far as additive, or like James showed, 3D printing. But there's also subtractive, which has been used actually for quite some time, mainly in Europe and places where there's higher energy cost and labor cost. So subtractive CNC routers and that kind of construction. So that is something that is actually starting to make it to the U.S. more. As demand for more efficient building is happening. So it's good to see that it's starting with the architects, because that really is where it goes and needs to start, is when you get not only a 3D model that's geometry and mesh, but when that can actually be brought into the real world to help with the building, and then being able to reuse that asset. So good job with everything you're doing, man.